your pace, making sure that nothing is causing pain or discomfort, as in joint pain, muscular discomfort, entirely up to you. If you need to stop and have a little stretch, stop and stretch, stop and rest, and then join in when you're ready to do so. Usual props, block, the ball. The ball and the band. If I don't have a band, I can use a strap, a belt, or anything. It's mostly to support to the legs. If I don't have the ball, I can use a cushion or a rolled up towel to create that little bulk, that little wedge. So starting off in neutral. If you're lying down, allowing the body to relax, keeping the legs straight or bent, whichever feels more comfortable for your hips and the back. If I'm seated, see if I can try and sit up a little bit straighter, so preventing the body from slouching forward and compressing the diaphragm, preventing the diaphragm, the big breathing muscle, from moving as it should be moving. So see if I can try and create a little bit more space at the front, so that I can let the breath drop down into the belly, trying to create that nice relaxed belly breath. Feeling the belly expanding with the inhalation and just relaxing with the exhalation. So see if I can keep the front of the throat, the front of the neck, the collarbones, the front of the chest nice and soft, and then encourage the breath to drop down. Maintaining that nice soft breath. See if you can run the quick scan over the body. So noticing the pressure at the back of the body if I'm lying down, comparing the right and the left side, and the position of my right and my left arm, my right and my left leg. If I'm seated, noticing the pressure under the seat bones. Is it the same? Am I slightly leaning to one side? Is my head centered? Is it slightly turned? Is it slightly off? Are the shoulders level? I'm not changing anything, just noticing where everything is and how I feel to begin with. Is there any discomfort? Is there any tension anywhere within the body? And then as I feel a little bit more settled, I feel a little bit more relaxed, then I'm going to start loosening up through the neck. I'm going to start off with a nice easy rotation. So I'm just going to turn the head from side to side. Without forcing the movement, see if I can keep it relaxed. Comparing right and left. As I turn to the left, it feels easy. As I turn to the right, there is a bit of a catch-in. So I'm just going to pay a little bit more attention to my right side, or vice versa. Just especially if you're seated up, check with the corner of your eye that as the head turns, the shoulders are not following you around. So the movement is coming from your neck, not from your upper back. If you're lying down, that the back is resting on the floor, resting on the mat, so there is very little chances that the back is going to start moving. So just focusing on the neck. 3, 2, 1. Easing the head back to the middle. And then I'm just going to change the direction of the movement, going into a little lateral flexion. So this time I'm going to keep looking straight ahead, but I'm going to try and bring my right ear down to the right shoulder. And then I'm going to take the left ear to the left shoulder. So this time I can feel a little stretch coming down the side of the neck, making sure that there is no pain, especially no pain refer down the arms. So there's no tingling into the fingers, there is no pain shooting down the arms. If there is the pain, I'm just going to ease on the size of the movement, making sure that I'm not reaching that point where it pinches the nerve and then creates that pain or discomfort down the arm. And then again, I can feel the right side feels a little bit tighter than the left, or the left feels a little bit tighter than the right. Four, 3, 2, 1, and easing back. Returning the head back to the middle, giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll. And then I'm going to change the direction one more time. I'm going to go into a little skull rock. So if you're seated, imagine to be seated with the back and the head against the wall. So I'm just going to push the chin into the back of the throat. So as if I was trying to give myself a double chin, and then see if I can think of lengthening the back of the neck, flattening the back of the neck. Then I'm going to let the chin come forward, lift it up, and then I'm going to try and round into the neck and then lengthen and open up into the front of the throat. Then I'm going to tuck it in again, and then I'm going to lengthen it out. So keeping the movement going again, making sure that nothing is pinching, nothing is causing pain. If you're lying down, it's easy as I've got the floor to guide me. As I tuck the chin in, I'm aiming for the back of my neck to get nice and close to the mat. And then as I lift the chin up and look back, I'm trying to lift the back of the neck away from the mat. So I'm going to try and flatten it against the mat, and then I'm going to try and lift it away from the mat. 4, 3, 2, last one. And releasing back. Again, giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll, adjusting the position of the head. It's a little bit more movement in different directions. I'm going to see if I can put a little bit more stretch on this time. So I'm going to turn the head to look over the right shoulder. I'm going to reach the left arm down by the side. So I'm going to create a little traction with the arm, and then I'm going to extend the wrist. So imagine to be bringing the back of your hand towards your forearm and pulling that way. I'm going to turn the arm out slightly. I should be able to feel the stretch from the first 3 fingers on my thumbs, index and medium, all the way coming up the arm, through the shoulder, up and around the side of the neck. If you feel that the stretch is okay, it doesn't feel too heavy, doesn't feel uncomfortable, it doesn't feel painful, then I'm going to add a little tuck. So I'm not going to just turn the head to the right. I'm going to tuck the chin down towards the shoulder. See if I can bring it down there. So feeling a little bit more stretch coming right up into the back of the ear. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then I'm just going to ease the tension, return the head back to the middle, relaxing the shoulders. Same thing to the other side. So I'm going to turn to look over the left shoulder. I'm going to reach the right arm down the side. I'm going to extend the wrist, and then I'm going to turn the arm out. So I can feel that stretch starting from the fingers, coming up the arm, into the shoulders, into the neck. And then if I can, I'm just going to tuck the chin in as if I was trying to drop my nose to that left shoulder. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And easing back, releasing back to the middle, giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll. I'm going to bring the head back to the center, and then I'm going to retest my rotation. So shoulders are nice and relaxed. I'm going to turn to look over the right shoulder. Ease back to the center. Turn to look over the left. Turn to look over the right. And then turn to look over the left. Hopefully the movement feels a little bit easier, a little bit looser. On the next one, I'm going to bring the head back to the middle. And then I'm going to start to focusing on the upper back more. I'm going to reach the arms to the front. clasping the hands together or keeping the hands apart if you prefer. I'm going to start going into rotation. So I'm going to swing the arms around to the right, as far to the right as I can, then easing my way back to the center, and then I'm going to swing around to the left, and then back to the center again. So keeping a nice rotation going. If I'm seated, I'm going to take advantage of the space. So I'm going to turn as far around as the body will allow me to turn. If I'm on the mat, obviously I'm limited for spaces. I've got the floor underneath, but I can still get a nice rotation going. We're rolling from one shoulder over to the other. Just making sure that as I'm doing so, my hips are staying down. So I'm not taking the hips with me. My hips are not rolling. Done. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And releasing back, returning back to the middle, adjusting the shoulders, adjusting the back. And then from rotation, I'm going to go into flexion. If you're lying down, you want to support your head. So I'm going to reach my one hand or both hands around the back of the head, and then tucking the chin to the chest. I think of lengthening the back of the neck. I'm going to curl my head and my shoulders off the ground, and then I'm going to round the upper back as much as I can. Then I'm going to ease my way back, and then I'm going to try that again. If I'm seated, I don't need to support the head as the head is on top of the shoulders. I'm just going to cross the hands onto the chest, and then I'm just going to round myself in. And then ease my way back. So see if you can try and focus on your upper back. I'm trying to mobilize my thoracic spine. I'm trying to create movement at the top of the spine. So it's only a little drop. I'm just rounding as much as I can at the top of the spine and then coming back. And then just noticing sometimes one side is a little bit tighter than the other. So as I come forward, I feel that I'm actually not centered, I'm slightly wonky. So see if you can try to keep that position as symmetric, as even as possible as you're moving forward and back. 5. Think of the shoulder blades pulling away from each other. 4, 3, 2, and then last one, I'm going to hold it there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and releasing back. And giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll, releasing the back. So hopefully a little bit more movement. This time, instead of focusing on flexion, I'm going to try and focus on extension. So if I'm seated, or whether I'm seated or lying down, imagine your breastbone to be pushing forward. So I'm going to put my breastbone forward, and then I'm going to try and bring it up and towards the head. So see if I can try and create the same roundness that I did when I was coming forward, but this time see if I can reverse it going back. So I'm going to try and lift it through the front of the chest, extend it through the upper back, opening up across the front of the shoulders, and then I'm just going to release back. And then I'm going to try and open up again. So if I'm standing, I'm pushing the chest towards the wall in front of me, and then I'm going to send it up and towards the ceiling at the same time. If I'm laying down, I'm going to push the chest up and towards the ceiling, and then I'm going to go back slightly, see if I can lift the back of the rib cage, arch the back of the rib cage away from the mat. Pushing down through the arms, pushing down through the elbows to see if I can create a little bit more activation between the shoulder blades in the middle of the back. 5, 4, 3, 2, and then last one, I'm going to hold that lift. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back. Relaxing the shoulders, giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll, relaxing into the upper back, and then I'm going to change the effort down into the lower back. So keeping the upper back nice and still, nice and relaxed. I'm just going to start off with a little pelvic tilt. So tilting the pelvis back, I'm going to press the lower back down into the mat, and then forward, and then going back into neutral. So I'm going to tilt, and then release the tilt. So think of a nice gentle rocking forward and back. So I'm trying to release along the back of the spine. I'm trying to massage along the back of the spine, along the back of the pelvis. If you're seated, think of a similar movement to the one that you did to the upper back, but the lumbar curve is reversed, so it's lordotic, not kyphotic. So what I want is to start off on my seat bones and then just allow myself to roll back onto my tailbone slightly, so feeling the lower back rounding. Then I'm going to pull myself back into neutral, and then I'm going to tilt my way back again. So it's only a little movement. I'm not expecting anything big. See if I can try and relax through the lower back and the back of the pelvis. So tilting and then coming back. Tilting and then coming back. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, returning back into neutral, and then from anterior posterior tilt, I'm going to go into a little hip hitch. So think of the right hip moving up towards the right side of the ribcage. So I'm going to hitch up on the right, drop down, hitch up on the left, and then down. If I'm seated, is as if I were walking my seat bones kind of like up and down on the chest. So I can feel a little tension into the side of the belly, into the obliques, allowing that little lift. If I'm lying down, the back of the hips is nice and flat against the floor. And the pelvis is just gently swinging from side to side. You can feel the right side tightening, the left. One is shortening, one is lengthening, one is shortening, one is lengthening. So again, it's only a little movement. It's nothing too big. But see if I can try and loosen up into the lower back and into the back of the pelvis. This is trying to relax as much as possible down into the base of the spine. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back, easing the hips back to the middle. Back feels a little bit looser all the way through. I'm going to start focusing on the hips. If you're lying down, I want you to roll over onto your side, setting yourself into clamp. So you're going to support the head with the arm. If that doesn't work, I've got my cushion, I've got my towel. I'm just going to pop it under the head and then just wrap the arm around the. I'm going to place the ball, the towel or the cushion between the knees. And then keeping the feet together, I'm going to start to squeeze in
the top leg down into the ball. Then easing the pressure, and then I'm going to squeeze it again. So I can feel both inner thighs working, but predominantly is that top leg. If you're seated, exactly the same. I'm going to put the ball, the towel or the cushion between the knees, and then I'm going to hold my right leg nice and still. With the left, I'm going to press into the ball and then easing back. So again, I can feel both inner thighs tensing. The right side is holding, the left side is pushing in and then releasing back. So I'm going to squeeze it and release it. Same as usual. If I feel that the leg is a little bit temperamental today, so it doesn't want to do it or it doesn't know how to do it, I'm just going to guide it with the hand. So I'm just going to push it in slightly and then ease back. Push it in slightly and then ease back. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. I'm going to hold the squeeze. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and release. Relaxing the hip, releasing the inner thigh, and then I'm going to work in reverse. So if you're lying down on the side, stay where you are. If you're seated, you need to use the band or the belt. I'm just going to tie the band around the knees. If it's an elastic one, I'm going to make it a bit tight. If it's a solid strap, then I'm going to make the loop a little bit looser, so I've got some space inside the loop to move. And then again, keeping the right leg nice and still. With the left leg, I'm going to push out into the band this time and then ease back. So this time the tension is on the side of the hip, on the side of the leg. I'm going to guide it with my hand again if I need to do so, and then releasing back. If you're down on your side, you don't need the band, as the weight of the leg is enough to create challenger, to create load. Just make sure that the feet are staying together, and then as the leg starts moving up and down into that clamshell position, your hips are not rolling backwards. Just see if I can keep my hips forward, and then just to picture the leg moving into the hip socket. So I want my thigh bone to turn and lift, and then I'm just going to ease it back. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. I'm going to hold the tension. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and release. Relaxing the leg, relaxing the hip. And then I'm going to switch side. So if you're lying down, you're going to roll over onto the other side, setting yourself in the same position. The ball goes between the knees again. If I'm seated, I'm going to get rid of the band. I can, instead of undoing the knot, I can just drop it down slightly. So I've got enough space between the knees to put my towel on my ball. And then I can pull the band up later when I do the climb on the other side. So I'm going to hold the left leg nice and still, and then with the right, I'm going to squeeze into the ball. Easing back, squeezing into the ball, and then back. So again, I can feel both inner thighs working, but predominantly it's the one that is pressing in, pressing down into the ball. 3, 4,
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then last one, I'm going to squeeze and hold that squeeze. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and release. Easing the tension of the ball, relaxing the leg, relaxing the hip. And then from the inside, I'm going to focus on the outside. So if I'm seated, I'm going to place the band around the knees again. Left leg is still, right leg, I'm going to push it out and then ease it back. So it's a little bit more connection into the side of the hip or side of the leg. If I'm laying down, exactly the same as I did on the other side, making sure that the hips are not rolling backwards. I'm keeping the hips forward, and then see if I can get the lift going with that top leg. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then last one, I'm going to keep that squeeze out for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing down. Giving the hip a little tap, relaxing the hip, releasing the leg. I'm going to undo the band if I'm seated, pushing the band to one side. Freeing the legs. If you're laying down, rolling over onto the back, setting yourself back into neutral. The knees are bent, the hips are level, the belly connected. And then this time I'm going to focus on the front of the hip, the front of the leg. So first thing I want to try and make sure that those muscles are kind of like the gripping, the biting, the going. So if you're lying down, you're going to put a little space between the right thigh and your arms. So I'm just going to put the ball in there or the cushion in there, so I don't need to strain to reach for the leg. And then I'm just going to push away with the hands, and then I'm going to try and lift the foot off the ground. So the foot won't lift, but what I want to focus on is that sudden tension into the front of the hip. So see if I can get the little tightening right deep into the hip joint. So my hip flexors switching on, waking up. If you're seated, you don't need the ball as the leg is closer to you, so I can just put my hand onto my thigh. And then I'm just going to try and push down with the hand and then pull up with the leg. So see if I can find a connection into that front of the hip. See if I can feel those muscles twitching. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Give the leg a little shake. Now stay with the same side, and then I'm going to take my hands away. Now see if you can try and get the foot to lift off the ground. So I
I've connected with the front of the hip. So see if I can now find the tension again to allow my leg to come away from the floor. And then I'm just going to ease it back down. Same as usual, it might lift, it might not quite lift, it doesn't matter. But see if you can, again, try to get the little twitch, that little tension deep into the hip. And then if I feel that I need, I can always use my hands, or again, use the band, use the strap around the leg to give me a little support. Think of the thigh bone moving towards the chest and then coming back. So I want my hip joint to close and then to open back out again. 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. Good. Relaxing the hip, relaxing the leg. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to switch the ball against the other leg if I'm using the ball, and then pressing down with the arms, trying to lift up with the leg. See if I can find that connection into the hip. In the front of the hip, tensing, a little tension into the front of the belly as well. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then easing back. I'm going to take the hands away and then see if I can get the lift going onto that side now. So I want my thigh to move towards my chest. And then I'm just going to bring it down. Again, it might be a tiny, tiny, tiny little movement. It might be a big movement. It doesn't matter. Just to see if I can focus on finding that connection, see if I can get that connection. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And releasing back, relaxing the hip, releasing the leg, and then I'm going to work in reverse. What I want is a little bit more connection into the back of the leg, into the back of the hip. So whether you're seated or lying down, it doesn't matter. I'm going to, this time, instead of focus on lifting, I'm focusing on pushing. So think of your right foot pushing right down into the floor. Then I'm going to ease that pressure, and then I'm going to push down with my left foot. Then ease the pressure, push down with my right, release, push down with the left, and release. So at the moment, I'm just kind of like pressing, releasing, alternating the legs. I'm going to push right, ease, push left, ease, push right, ease, push left, ease. So I can feel the two legs are responding. I can feel that change in pressure both under the right and under the left foot. Now see if you can push down with both feet at the same time. I'm going to push down with both and then ease the pressure. Push down with both and then ease the pressure. And then as you keep pushing down with both feet, see if you can think of more activation coming up into the hips. So as I push down through the feet, I'm going to start squeezing my butt cheeks. And then I'm just going to ease back. I'm going to push down, squeeze my bum.
and then ease back. And then see if you can progressively start to creating a little bit more movement. So instead of just pushing and finding that connection through, see if I can actually load. So if I'm seated, I'm going to lean forward into the legs slightly, and then as I push down through the feet and squeeze with my butt, I'm going to try and lift off the chair as if I was trying to stand up, and then I'm just going to ease back down. Well, if I'm lying down on the back, I'm going to reach my way up, and then I'm going to ease my way back down. So squeezing the hips as high up as I can, feeling the front of the hips opening, the thighs reaching away, making sure that the rib cage is staying quiet, so I'm not pushing with my chest, I'm trying to push with my hips, I'm trying to push with my bum. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing down. Relaxing the hips, so releasing the legs, so giving the legs a little shake, making sure that there is no tension left into the back of the hip, into the back of the thigh. And then allowing the hips, allowing the legs to have a little rest. I'm going to focus on the shoulder this time. I'm going to let the arms come down by the side. And then both arms together, I'm going to start coming up into a front raise. So I'm going to raise the arms up to the front. I'm going to lift and reach them back as far as I can. And then I'm just going to return them back by the side. So if I'm laying down, I'm working with gravity. So even if the shoulder is stiff, I should be able to get a good range of movement. Just make sure that you're not forcing it if there is pain in the shoulder. If I'm seated, I'm working against the gravity, so the arms get really heavy really quickly. So just making sure that when you lift them up, you try to lift it from the shoulder, not from the neck. So my shoulders are not suddenly shrugging up to my head, shrugging up to my ears. To see if I can keep the neck relaxed, the shoulders are down. So maybe going for a slightly smaller lift that is not creating so much tension around the neck, around the upper back. 5, 4, 3, 2, last one. And releasing down, relaxing the shoulders, changing the direction of the movement. This time I'm going to work a single arm, so I'm going to alternate. I'm going to go for a lateral raise. So I'm going to swing the arm around the side and towards the head, and then I'm going to take it back. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other, and then take it back down again. Same as I did for the front raise, making the swing as big or small as it works for the shoulder. So if I feel that keeping the arm all the way to the side feels a bit too heavy on the shoulder, I'm just going to make my swing a little bit shallower. So bring the arm slightly to the front, making sure that the shoulder still feels okay with the movement. So it's not grinding, it's not catching, it's not pinching as the arm goes. And then this time, because I'm moving one arm at a time, if I feel that there is difference between my right and the left side, it doesn't matter, because if my left side is my stiff one, I'm going to go for a little movement with my left. My right side is good, so I'm going to go for a bigger movement on the right. So little movement on the stiff side and a nice big movement on the looser side. 4,
3, 2, 1 more time on each side. And releasing back. Giving the shoulders a little bit of a roll, relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the arms. So a little bit more movement into the shoulder too. See if we can finish off by trying to coordinate the arms and the legs together. So I'm going to imagine the usual puppet strings. So I've got a string that attaches my right hand to my right leg, my left hand to my left leg. I'm going to start pulling up with my right hand. I want my right leg to follow me up. Then ease back. I'm going to pull with my left hand. I want the left leg to follow me up. And then easing back. Same as I did for the separate movement. It could be a very little movement. It could be a very big movement. Just to see if you can find the connection again at the front of the hip that is allowing your thigh to come up towards the chest. Find that nice and smooth movement into the shoulder. It's not creating tension through the shoulder. It's not creating tension through the neck. 4, 3, 2, 1. And easing down. Relaxing the legs. Now imagine to be crossing the spring. So my right hand is now tied to the left leg, my left hand to my right leg. I'm going to pull up with my right hand, and then I want my left leg to come up. Then easing them down. I'm going to pull up with my left arm, my right leg comes up, and then eases back down again. And then noticing the difference. So sometimes as we switch combination, we might find that it actually works. So as I lift the same side, my leg was struggling. Now that I'm lifting opposite side, for some reason I feel better control, or vice versa. 4, 3, 2, last one, and releasing down. Relaxing the shoulders, releasing the hips. If you're lying down, rolling over onto the side, and in your own time, pushing yourself up into sitting, finding your comfortable seated position. Leaning against the wall, leaning against the sofa if you feel you need a little support, using the hands, the arms are behind to offer support so that you can sit up. Same as we did at the beginning. See if we can create space at the front of the body. But this time I'm going to exaggerate that space. So I'm just going to start pushing the breastbone forward. I'm going to lift it up. I'm going to let the shoulders go back. I'm going to squeeze them together and down. I'm going to look forward. I'm going to look up. I'm going to look back. And then I'm just going to release, allowing the chin to drop down to the chest, and the shoulders to come forward, the back to roll down. And then I'm going to uncurl my way back. Opening up through the chest, lifting the breastbone, shoulders back, shoulders down, looking forward, looking up, looking back. And then releasing, and then coming forward, rolling your way down. Last time, uncurling all the way back up. Nice lift through the front of the chest, looking forward, looking up, looking back. And then releasing back to the front. One hand to the belly, one hand to the back. Take your bow, give yourself